Alright guys, my name's Ryan. I go by the Fly Guy Colorado. Today's video, one of my subscribers asked me to kind of break down my fly gear setup and to set up a fly rod and try and break it down a little bit more simply. So that's what today's video is going to be a little bit. I've had the opportunity to fish all over Colorado. I was born here in Boulder. I started fishing when I was 19 with a spinning rod, and I bought a fishing license every year. Since then, I progressed into fly fishing in the last 5 years. Every year I've gotten a little bit better at fly fishing and learned a little bit more and more. My biggest tools to help me with fly fishing have been YouTube itself. So watching videos of other people fly fish, getting tips, advice, talking to people on there has been a great resource for me. A lot of the people in my local area don't want to share information because they don't want people in their fishing spots, and they also don't want you competing for their fish. So you won't get a lot of information usually out of people that are actually fly fishing, but I'll try and make a video and break it down as simply as I can of my gear. Alright, the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to figure out what kind of fish you want to fish for. So here in Colorado, I mainly fish for brook trout, rainbow trout, brown trout, lake trout, carp, bass. So my rods are a little bit different. This is my 3-weight rod right here on the left and on top of this black case. This is my 4-weight rod. The 3-weight rod does really well for brook trout, smaller trout, panfish, that kind of thing. My 4-weight that I have here, this does better for like smallmouth, largemouth, larger trout, carp, that kind of thing. They're both identical rods. They come from this company called Maximum Catch or Max Catch Extreme. And this one particular one here is my 4-weight. It's a 9-foot rod. It comes in 4 pieces. This reel I found on Amazon. Same with the rod here. The rod cost $49 on Amazon, and then I spent the $4 extra for insurance on it this year because I've already broken one. This reel right here came from Amazon. It was $20 for this reel, and then you can buy a kit that has this bright yellow line and this lighter colored line. That's your back line, which is 20-pound test, and then your weight forward floating line, which is also 20-pound test. Both of these reels on here were, I believe, $20 off of Amazon or $22 off of Amazon, and the actual floating line and the back line kit was like $22 to put on here. You can find these bags on Amazon. They went for about $35, $40. This on my 3-weight rod, I use a 4x leader, which is to put it in simple terms, a 6-pound test. On my 4-weight, I use a 3x leader, which is 8.9-pound test. So this next piece of gear that we got here, these are my hemostats. I found these at Walmart for a couple dollars. I got this retractable lead off of Amazon for about $3. This lanyard that's right here, that came from Walmart for like $3. And then I bought this 4-piece tool. This tool has a small bit, a small pointy thing at the end right here that helps you to poke any paint or glue out of the eye of your fly. Also has a piece that folds out that is a file. Has another little piece that folds out over here on this side. That's your nail knot tool, and then the clippers itself to help you cut knots. This roll that's got all these bright colors on here is my tidbit. Basically, tidbit will help extend the life of your leader, and also it'll help you to fish double flies. So I have 7X all the way down through 3X because that's what I'll be fishing. So I'll do a separate video setup of how to tie double flies and knots that you need. This net that we have here, this came from Walmart. This was like, I think like $4 or $5 at Walmart. It's lasted me the last 5 years. It comes with a bungee cord. It's got a carabiner on it for me to clip to my waders or my belt. We have our fly boxes back here. This fly box, I'll spare you guys going through every single thing that's in here, but this fly box right here has my streamer patterns and my midges in it. I keep those separate because I really don't fish them as much. So a streamer pattern will work like a bait fish. I'll give you guys a quick view real quick. So here's my streamers on this side, and then my nymphs, my midges, and my dry flies are on this side. I don't do a lot of dry fly fishing on my channel because there's only a handful of days out of the year where you'll actually catch the bugs hatching at the right times to be able to use dry flies. So I have a couple spare boxes that I got off of Amazon. I believe these were about $4, $5 for them. They're from the Sunshine Fishing Company. So when you guys hear me say FS or SF, that's who I'm talking about. These other 2 boxes are my more important boxes. I'll go ahead and open this one up and show you guys for a second and flip this card over so I don't dox myself. This card's my fishing license. It's in a bag to keep it waterproof. The easiest form of fly fishing is nymph fishing. So this whole box right here contains my nymphs. They're all beaded nymphs. They're all in different style patterns of flies. I went with the most common patterns, did my research. So this fly box is built for April through July. So any one of these flies will work from April through to July. The most common patterns that you guys will want to keep in your box is copper johns, red copper johns, prince nymphs, lightning bugs. We have some caddis larvae in here. These brighter colored ones are ones that I use on the carp. I have some mayfly patterns. I have some hare's ear nymphs. I have guide's choice hare's ear nymphs, flashback hare's ear nymphs. I have down here, these are pheasant tail flashbacks, and then this bottom row down here is my Euro nymphs for stream fishing. So that's the first box. The second box that I use, this is more towards the end of the summer, and some of it's for the beginning of the summer. So I have trout egg patterns up here. I have squirmy worm patterns in here. The squirmy worms you'll want to use on like a day after it rained really good, because obviously worms come out then. I have some grasshopper patterns. I have some atomic ant patterns. Couple leech patterns in here, and then I've got some junk flies that I know the carp like to eat that are a little bit cheaper. All of my flies for the most part came from Cabela's. I recommend going with either a quality fly shop that will help you, or to go down to Cabela's or another large brand sporting goods store. They seem to have better quality flies. This little pouch right here contains all of my leaders. I don't make my own leaders. I buy pre-tied leaders from SF. So I have in here, I have 4X leaders and I have 3X leaders, and then I buy them in 7.5 foot and 9 foot. So this bag contains all of my leaders for both of my two rods right here. Like I said, my 3-weight right here is essentially a 6-pound test rod, and then my 4-weight is essentially an 8-pound test rod. What we have here are some different float tints. These basically go on your dry flies if you happen to catch a day where you can use dry flies. These top ones you rub on the fly first. It's like an oil base, so it'll help keep the fly on top of the water. This bottom one right here is for after your fly has already been in the water. You put your fly in the container and shake it up, and it helps dry it off. This case right here has all my indicators. Indicators are just a fancy way of saying bobber and fly fishing talk. I have some cotton type ones. I have some other ones that attach to your leaders that kind of crimp it. My favorite ones are these ones right here. These are called Loctite. This little ring up here unscrews off the top of it. You put your leader in on top of the rubber washer and screw the ring back down. You can adjust these up and down on your leader for the depth of how far you want to fish your fly. These don't crimp your leader. I really recommend, if you're just getting into fly fishing, to pick some of these up. These will help you out amazingly with seeing when something actually takes your fly. It's a little bit harder to fish just a naked line with no indicator on it. It takes quite a bit of skill, so these will help you out. These other 3 boxes that I have down here, these are the poppers that you've been seeing me fish on the channel. I have a smaller set that came from Walmart. These airlocks came off of Amazon for, I believe, like $8 for a 3-pack. These poppers right here came from Walmart. They're like $4 for a 6-pack or whatever. 6 of them. These other ones are the ones my granddad helped me get. So these ones came from Dick's Sporting Goods. I paid $5.49 a piece for them, but they're good quality. They've held up to lots of fish so far. And then I've got these larger ones that are also from Walmart. These 2 smaller containers here that we have, these are split shot. If you're familiar with fishing, they work the same way as a regular fishing split shot. You just attach it to your leader. It'll help drag your fly down in the water and get it down a little bit faster. They come in various sizes. I have a wet bag here. This is all my lower elevation kit. So this wet bag is for when we go ride the kayak or on rainy days. I like to take it out. This is from Amazon. It's made by the Hida company. I got this bag and this waterproof case for $15. The other part of gear here that we have is our sunglasses. Sunglasses may seem kind of trivial, but they're actually pretty important if you're just starting fly fishing. They'll help protect your eyes from the sun glare. Also, if you make a bad cast or you set your hook and you pull that rod back at you, usually your flies want to come right back at your face. So the best thing you can do is crimp the barbs on your flies. and wear a pair of sunglasses so you don't get those flies in your eyeballs. If you crimp the barbs and you get a fly in your face, it's a lot easier to take it out once the barb's been crimped. So those are the two pieces of advice I'd offer to people that are just starting. Always wear sunglasses and crimp your barbs. Your phone will be your best friend. I just started doing this year, but when I catch fish, I take pictures of them. I tag the location of where I caught them, what kind of day it was, and what kind of fly I was using to catch them on, so that way next year when I go out and go fish, I know exactly where to go, what to use, what time of day to go out, and what the conditions were like that day that I caught them on. You can also use your phone in the lower elevation to check fishing regulations. A lot of the spots we fish on this channel are going to be catch and release. Some of the places we'll fish we can actually keep fish from. This next piece that we've got down here, we've got a belt, and then we've got a can of OC spray. This OC spray is off of Amazon, and it was like, I think, $30 for it. It's 1.4% capsaicin, which bear spray is 2%, and this is 1.4, so this will definitely work on smaller animals and people. The area that we fished around here, we're out away from where the police can get to you really fast, so it's kind of smart to carry something like this. The next piece of gear that we have here, these are our waders. They're from the White River Fly Shop. These came out of Cabela's. I paid, I think, $120 for them. They have boots attached to them down here. The most important part of your kit next to your fly rod and your boxes is going to be your waders. So your waders, you don't want them really skimp on because you're going to spend a lot of time in the water. So even though they're thick, you want a kind of a thicker one. When you get in the water, you're going to cool down. They come with a bag or a front pocket here where you can put fly cases in, so you don't have to constantly get in and out of the water to tie flies. I have attached on here on the back of my waders, I have a rain jacket that goes with me every day. This was like $4 or $5 from Walmart, so I mean, you don't need to spend a whole lot on fly fishing to get into it. The only other important information that I can tell you guys about if you're wader fishing is you always want to wear a belt. So you want to wear the belt because water, if it comes in the top of your waders, whether you're in the river or in the lake or anything like that, if it comes in the top of your waders, it will fill the legs of your waders. And if you can't necessarily get out of the waders, then you have the potential to drown. So wearing the belt keeps the water from filling the legs of the waders. Also, you always want to carry a good pocket knife, a good sharp pocket knife when you're out there in the waders. No piece of gear and no fish is worth your life, so if you ever have to cut yourself out of your waders in an emergency situation, a good knife will help you out. This is my K-Bar. This is my everyday carry pocket knife. It's got a nice metal clip on it. It's got some rigid edges to give you a good grip in the water. It's a fold out, so it folds out. It's got a lock in the back instead of an interlock. I carry this with me all the time on my waders. That helps me skin fish, and also if I really need to, I can cut the straps on my waders and try and get out if I'm ever really stuck in the mud or getting washed down the river or anything like that. The second piece of gear that goes with the waders, I bought these Metog water shoes. I put these water shoes on. Here, I put these large socks on, so I have socks that come all the way up to my knees that I wear. And I just wear shorts under here, down here in the summertime in my fishing jerseys. So I'll put the socks on, put the water shoes on, then get into my waders. That gives me 2 layers of protection on my feet, so that way I'm not, because you're going to be standing for long periods of time. So that'll help protect your feet, give you a little bit of comfort, and keep your boots from rubbing on you. The other piece of gear that I always carry with me is a back brace. If I'm using my waders or out in the kayak, the back brace, is because you're standing for long periods or sitting for short periods or long periods, your back can start to hurt. And then I have 2 different styles fishing jerseys that I got. They're from the Kufin company. I ordered these on Amazon. These are really great jerseys. They dry out real fast. They're machine washable. They have hoods. They have face masks built into them. So if it's super sunny day out, you can pull the hood up. You can put the face mask on. You can keep yourself from getting burned. That's my basic setup here. This is all stuff that you'll see me use on the channel in the lower elevations. I'm going to shoot a separate video and I'm going to show you my high elevation bag and what we take in that bag specifically, and then I'll give you one shot over here real quick. This is our kayak. Oh, we got a little snake down here in our backyard. This is our kayak. This is another important piece of gear that we have. This is a Lifetime kayak. It is a Charger 100. I bought this at Walmart for I think like $120, and it's lasted me for about 8 years now. You can see the hose out here. What I like to do is in between spots that I go to, I like to rinse out the inside of the kayak, and I like to rinse the outside of it off so we don't spread any plant life from one pond to another. There's bacteria, there's contaminations down here in the water, so hosing your kayak off is always good. Some of the places you'll go, the mud kind of stinks, so it's always a good idea to do that. And the last little bit of advice that I'm going to tell you guys to go along with the contamination part. So on your waders, I fish at a bunch of different ponds down here at the lower elevation. So in between the ponds, I like to take my waders and I like to rinse the insides and the outsides off with a hose. It is recommended that you use 110 degree water to rinse them off, or some kind of a bacterial soap to rinse them off. The easiest thing that I found to be able to do with them is once you get them sprayed off real good, the inside and the outside, and you rinse off everything, take them and put them in a trash bag and stick them in the freezer and let them freeze overnight for 10 hours, and that'll kill off any bacteria. That's really important for when we go from the lower elevation to the higher elevation up here. We don't want to spread contaminants from the lower elevation into our parks and up into our higher alpine lakes. So that's another key part to having waders, is keeping them clean and sanitizing them. Like I said, the easiest way to do that is by putting them in the freezer for 10 hours and letting them sit. That usually will kill off everything. So I'll break down fly selection a little bit, because it's kind of overwhelming. There's so many fly patterns out on the market that it gets kind of overwhelming. The one question that you should always ask yourself is, whatever month that you were trying to learn how to fly fish, what is 5 fly patterns that you can get that month? So start there. Pick up your 5 fly patterns, put them in your box, and then the next following month, do some research, ask yourself the same question: what's 5 fly patterns I can use this month? If they're the same, go buy more, just different sizes. If it's something different, then pick up those flies, add them to your fly boxes. You really don't need to buy every single fly in the store when you go. My first mistake when I started fly fishing is I thought it was going to be like spinner fishing or bass fishing, so I went in and I picked them by the colors and how cool they looked and all that kind of stuff, and I didn't really understand that there's a bug cycle. So do a little research on what the hatch is. So the bugs start to come out in May, and they start to hatch in the water, and then they progress into the water nymphs, then they progress into bugs that come out of the water, then they fall back into the water. You got bait fish patterns that are really good. You've got the easiest way is nymph fishing, and streamer fishing is the easiest way. So if you're just learning fly fishing, try to stick to just nymph patterns and get yourself some indicators. That'll make it a lot easier on you to be able to figure out. It took me probably a year to try and work that out and try and figure out what flies, and I caught very little fish the first year because of my fly choices. Memorial Day, I went out. These gentlemen came, and there was probably about 5 or 6 of them that showed up that had these really expensive fly rods, and they were like these nice 10-foot fly rods. They were probably like $1,000 a piece for their fly rods, but they didn't understand what fish were in where they were trying to fish, and they didn't understand how to match the bugs. So they literally spent all day out there just practicing casting. I watched them tie about 10, 15 different flies on and not catch anything. Meantime, I was catching a bunch of fish with my cheap Amazon setup here. So this is the breakdown for you guys. I'm going to shoot another video for you guys where I break down my high altitude bag. My high altitude bag is different than my lower elevation bag, so that's got my survival gear and some other stuff in there. So hopefully you guys like this video to give you an idea of where to find some of this stuff and how much it should cost you. You really don't need to break the bank to get into fly fishing. Fly fishing, the most expensive thing that you'll end up spending on after you've done your initial investment is going to be your flies. You want quality flies, you want a good fly shop that ties them. They last longer, they produce better fish. The ones that I just bought from Amazon the other night, I did like 4 or 5 false casts with floating flies and it fell apart, so they are going back to Amazon. I'm getting my money back. I will not be buying flies from Amazon. That's probably the best advice I can give you guys. Thanks for watching. Next video that we shoot will be on the high elevation gear. I'm going to do another video on knots that you'll need to set up your fly rods and how to set up your fly rods, and then I will shoot in another additional video on basic casting skills that you'll want to learn. Thanks for watching, guys.